Rome was burning. The night sky was painted red as flames climbed higher and the wind pushed the fire through the heart of the city. Narrow streets turned into rivers of smoke and heat. Wooden houses collapsed, one after another, while the air filled with screams, ash, and panic. People were running. Mothers held their children close. The elderly fell in the chaos. Soldiers shouted orders that were barely heard over the roar of the fire. Rome, the most powerful city in the world, looked helpless. And in the middle of this destruction, a rumor began to spread. A whisper that moved from street to street, from voice to voice. Emperor Nero is singing while Rome burns. Some said he had climbed to the top of a tower to watch the flames. Some claimed he held a lyre in his hands. Others insisted he was singing about the fall of Troy, as if history itself were repeating. For the people, this rumor was more terrifying than the fire itself, because if it were true, it meant their emperor was indifferent to their suffering. But one question remains. Did this really happen? Or was it one of the greatest political smear stories in history? In this video, we search for the truth hidden behind the flames. Nero was not born to be an emperor. He rose to power because Rome's politics were full of shadows. His mother, Agrippina, was a woman who wanted power at any cost. She mastered court intrigue, married Emperor Claudius, and focused all of her ambition on one goal: to place her son, Nero, on the throne. Claudius died, and Nero was declared emperor at just 16. At first, everything looked promising. The Senate was satisfied, the people were hopeful, and his teacher, the philosopher Seneca, tried to guide him with reason. Rome believed a new era had begun, but inside Nero lived another man. He did not love battlefields. He loved the stage. He preferred applause to laws. He craved admiration more than authority. Nero saw himself not as a ruler, but as an actor, poet, and musician. He performed in theaters, sang songs, appeared in plays, and demanded loud applause from the crowd. For the Roman elite, this was horrifying. To them, an emperor had to be distant, serious, almost sacred. Nero was none of that. He was on stage, sweating under lights, hungry for claps. And he could not tolerate criticism. Those who whispered against him, senators, nobles, generals, began to disappear from politics one by one. Power concentrated in Nero's hands, and the darker side of his character grew stronger. Suspicion, fear, and the need to be worshipped. Some sources say he even ordered his own mother's death. Soon after, he broke with Seneca as well. By then, everyone understood. On the throne of Rome sat not just a young emperor, but a man starring in his own grand performance. And Nero's life revolved around one haunting question. Was he truly a monster, or did history simply paint him as one? To find the answer, we must wait until the night Rome begins to burn. The year was 64 AD, one of the hot nights of July. Rome was asleep, but the wind was awake. Inside a small shop on the edge of the city, a torch fell, oil spilled, and the flames began to crawl along the wooden beams. At first, it was just a small fire. No one took it seriously. But Rome was a city of wood, narrow streets, houses leaning into each other. They showed the flames a path. In a moment, the wind changed direction, and the city began to burn. People woke up in darkness, screams, collapsing roofs, the roar of fire. Some tried to save their belongings. Some simply ran. Some turned back and looked at their homes for the last time. Rome burned for 6 days without stopping. For 6 nights, the flames climbed into the sky, and ash fell on the city like snow. Temples, markets, theaters, the villas of the rich, and the huts of the poor, all became equal inside the fire. Ancient writers tell us many never even had the chance to escape. The fire cut off streets. People were trapped. Some fled toward the sea. Some hid in open fields. Others lost everything, even their families. Rome was disappearing from the map. Then came the questions. Was it an accident or someone's plan? Some said it was just wind and bad luck. Others whispered that someone wanted the city destroyed so it could be rebuilt in a grander way. And the most famous rumor spread, while Rome burned, Nero sang. Was it true? Or one of the greatest political lies in history? One fact cannot be denied. Rome burned, but from the ashes it would rise again. And this fire did not only destroy buildings, it changed memory itself. After that night, Rome would never be the same Rome again. When Rome burned, it was not only flames that spread, rumors did too. The rumors said Nero stood on a tower with a lyre in his hands, and he sang. Some claimed he chose a song about Troy burning, a city in flames, sung while another city burned below him. Picture it, below. Panic, screams, fire driven by the wind. Above, the emperor, calm and distant, as if it were a performance. But here's the question. Was it true, or a perfect image created by Nero's enemies? Ancient sources are divided. Some writers say Nero was not even in Rome when the fire began, and when he returned, he opened his palaces to shelter the homeless. Others insist he loved the stage so much that even in the burning of Rome, he could not stop seeing himself as an actor. One thing is certain, whether he truly sang or not, history remembered him that way. In that fire, not only Rome was burning, Nero's reputation burned with it. Sometimes one song is enough to turn a man into a tyrant forever. Some historical sources say this. When the fire began, Nero was in a city called Antium. When he received the news, he returned to Rome immediately. And then he did the following. He ordered the city gates to be opened. He turned his own gardens into shelters for the homeless. He commanded free grain to be distributed to the hungry. So why was he still blamed? Because he did something else. On the burned neighborhoods, he built a new Rome. Wide streets, stone houses, a centralized city plan. And most importantly, he built himself a gigantic palace, the Domus Aurea, the Golden House. So the people thought, if he benefited from the fire, then he must have caused it. Some historical sources say this. When the fire began, Nero was in a city called Antium. When he received the news, he returned to Rome immediately. And then he did the following. He ordered the city gates to be opened. He turned his own gardens into shelters for the homeless. He commanded free grain to be distributed to the hungry. So why was he still blamed? Because he did something else. On the burned neighborhoods, he built a new Rome. Wide streets, stone houses, a centralized city plan. And most importantly, he built himself a gigantic palace, the Domus Aurea, the Golden House. So the people thought, if he benefited from the fire, then he must have caused it. Rome burned. The city turned to ash. People were forced to rebuild their lives from nothing. But the greatest thing that turned to ash was not the buildings. It was the truth. Around Nero's life, two Romes were created, one written in history books and another living in the memory of the people. Some historians say Nero rebuilt the city, introduced new safety rules, created wider streets, and enforced new architectural standards. During his reign, art, theater, and music flourished. But there was another Rome, people living in fear, senators forced into silence, Christians being accused, and an emperor who grew angry when applause stopped. So which version is real? Did Nero truly burn the city? Or did the palaces built after the fire make him look guilty? Was he a tyrant? Or simply the victim of politics and bad reputation? Some questions have answers. Others fade away like smoke. One thing, however, is certain. In history, it is often not the truth that survives, but the image that is written. The Great Fire of Rome divided Nero's life in two. Nero before the fire and Nero after it. Whether he sang, whether he caused the flames, may never be proven completely. But this much is clear: Rome rose again from the ashes. Nero did not. His name lived on for centuries with fire, mad applause, the stage, rumors, and dictatorship. And this story reminds us of a harsh truth. Sometimes it is not the fire that destroys the city, but the image people choose to believe. In history, verdicts are not always given in courts. They are handed down in collective memory. And the final judgment on Nero may not be ours to give, but time's.